everybody, Gene Warner here. With this video, I'm going to do things a little differently. I'm going to kind of summarize our 3-day trip thing with my friends, Ed, Wilkie, Booker T, and old Larry. So we had been planning this for a good while, to check out this Steeds campground and get up into PA a little bit, out in the country, and get away from everything for a little bit. So we decided, we planned that trip up for 3 days, of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and May 29th is when we were starting out. We set up a plan to meet and a time to meet, and the other guys, besides myself, I was further up north to begin with, so those guys had to leave an hour and a half earlier, and we set up a time to meet just west of Harrisburg on the west side of the Susquehanna River at a Sunoco station, which was good timing. I think our meeting time was around 12 or 12:30. And, it was extremely hot and humid and sticky, so it was a good time to stop, top the tanks off, and get some drinks, some Gatorade or something. And, so we all met up there, everything went smooth, and there was some dark clouds flying around a little bit, but it stayed sunny and hot, and hanging out there, of course, chilling with the guys, saying our hellos and checking in, see how everybody's doing. And Booker T notices two guys that are sitting in traffic about to throw down brawl, over the speed limit. One was yelling at the other about do the speed limit, that kind of thing. So that was pretty funny, Like, oh, we haven't got out in the country far enough yet, apparently. But so we set out from there, and we primarily stuck to the country roads and continued up north, somewhat following the Susquehanna River. So we're like, traveling along, and I'm new to this whole GoPro thing, and bought a mount for the bike, and it's on the fairing, and of course I'm turning it on and hitting record, and just think it's really going to be cool to get a lot of footage of the bikes and stuff and us riding. And at some point, during this leg of the first day, somehow my GoPro switches to time warp, and I don't even know what time warp was at the time, so I kept hitting record, not knowing really what was going on, and at that point anyway. Now, as you're watching this video, you're probably wondering, compared to the other ones, that either the formation changed or somebody's missing, and actually somebody is missing from the group, and I'll get into that later on. So we continued north, and like I said, mostly through the country roads up there, and after you get so far out of Harrisburg area, the traffic just diminishes to so light, and it's nice, and you can take in the scenery and cruise these country roads. Following the river, you have to stay on Interstate 15, which is going to be a lot more traffic, a little heavier traffic on that. So we stuck to the country roads, and after so long we got to this one point where the roads were completely soaked, and we were lucky enough to miss that downpour, but we did ride on some very wet roads at that time. So we got up to around Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania, and pretty congested area traffic wise, and we decided to make a pit stop there. And there was a Sheets there, but there was this little Amish market, and they had some food, and Ed and Wilkie decided to try their Amish pork steaks, and they were really good. We all sampled those, and wow, they're definitely very, very good. And so we continued on from that point, not too far from the campground by this time, so probably 2 hours from when we started at the outside of Harrisburg. And so we pull into the campground. The sky is so dark at this point, and no longer than we park the bikes and shut them off, the skies just open up, and there's a pavilion there, so we all ran right for that pavilion and stood under there, and we met Bob that runs the Steel Steeds, and real nice guy, excellent, and everybody there was really nice, and we just watched our bikes get saturated, and it's hitting like the rain is splashing the dirt and gravel dust and everything else up onto the bikes. It's going to be a great morning cleaning those tomorrow. So during this evening, there's 3 separate downpours that happened, and so pretty heavy downpours too. The sky would clear up, and then it would just darken back up, and so tons more rain on everything. So we were looking for a place to get some dinner, some good food, and there's a place right there, right at the campground. It's like right off to the side of it. Susquehanna Smokehouse, and so we all got brisket dinners. Very, very good. Highly recommend that. Very good. And so we hung out and chilled out, took it easy, relaxed, and walked down to the river, because the Susquehanna River is right on this campground. It's right there. And so, yep, chilled out, relaxed, had a good night. And the other thing I almost forgot to mention was when we got there, the plan was Larry, Ed, and Booker T were going to camp with tents. And they quickly changed their mind and checked with Bob, who runs Steel Steeds, and because I had one of the little cabins rented, and so they quickly checked to see if there another cabin available, and luckily it worked out so good. Theirs was right beside mine. Wilkie and I shared mine, and they had one also, which is a heck of a blessing when you have all these downpours. Might have been a little challenging in a tent. Not that you can't do it, but a little challenging. So the night continued on. We had a fire going, and the cool thing about Steel Steeds is there's a community area where everybody could just kind of hang out and talk and get to know each other, fellow riders and everything. And there's a real big community campfire, or you can, stay to yourself where your cabin or your tent or whatever you choose to have, and chill out by yourself with your own, campfire. So we did a little bit of that, and I had learned that Larry wanted everything shut. You got to have that door shut, gotta make sure this is shut. Apparently because you don't know what animal might creep in on you. So I found that very comical, and that was funny. So we eventually all turned in and slept pretty good. It wasn't bad at all. The beds in the cabins are actually very comfortable. There's AC in there, electric in there. You got an overhead light, fan, little small heater if you need it. We did not need that, but AC was wonderful. So we got up and cleaned up a little bit what we needed to. I actually used some bug slide on my bike from all the rain and splatter, and cleaned that up just a little bit. And of course we were all itching to find some coffee and try to find a Dunkin' Donuts for our coffees. And Ed was checking into that and found one in Danville, Pennsylvania, probably a half hour from where we were. So we all suited up and headed out to Dunkin' Donuts in Danville, Pennsylvania. When we got there, we realized that it was drive-through only, and the line was wrapped around the building. So we decided to find something else, and we found Perkins Restaurant, which is also right in the same town of Danville. So we pulled up to the Perkins Restaurant, parked on the lot, thinking that we have to order and then, eat our food beside our bikes out in the parking lot because of the things that were going on. But amazing as it was, they were actually having limited seating inside, and I think we got maybe their last booth that was available, and we all crammed into that. And it was awesome and strange at the same time to finally be able to sit down in a restaurant and eat, and that's where we had our breakfast. It was great. It was definitely great. So after our breakfast, we decided to fill the tanks up, top them off for our day, not knowing exactly where all we were going to go for the day. So topped the tanks off right there by the Perkins restaurant. And our first stop was going to be Vreeland Harley-Davidson, and that's in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. Not too far from where we were, probably another half an hour. So we headed off to that dealership, and what beautiful weather. I mean, at some points there wasn't even a cloud in the sky. Just absolutely gorgeous riding weather. So we got to the shop and went inside, checked some things out. They were actually handing out some chapstick and a microfiber cloth, like for your glasses and things. So very nice little things to give you, you know. I mean, the sun's beaming out. And, I mean, not only was it free, but definitely usable. So we looked at all the bikes inside. Obviously, they had some awesome bikes in there. There was a CVO in there, I think, that was a held over 2 years, I believe. A leftover, brand new, but 2 years old. They had a heck of a deal on that. I got a shirt, and I think a couple of guys got poker chips. Oh yeah, and the CVO I was talking about. I believe it was either a Road Glide CVO or a Street Glide CVO, but I do believe that Booker T was eyeing that bike up. You see, Booker T gets a little bit of slack sometimes from Wilkie. You know, Booker T's riding the Softail Standard. But that's a whole nother story in itself, I guess. So yeah, I got my shirt at Vreeland Harley-Davidson. And my longtime friend, gosh, we've been friends since 6th grade, met us there at the Harley dealership and decided to, you know, he needed some time away too to do some riding and hang out. So he joined the pack, and from this point, we were going to head to Bill's Old Bike Barn, also in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. And I gotta say, this place is amazing. If you're ever in the area close to, or you just want to get away and see something neat, this place is so cool. There is so much in there, and not just bikes. There's rooms that are dedicated to all kinds of things. There's an Elvis Presley room. There's Three Stooges memorabilia, which you probably saw in video day 2. Which, you know, in day 2, I tried to get a little bit as I could through there. Some rooms are darker than others, and I know it turned out a little dark for some of them. I apologize. But, I mean, there's not, like, hardly any wall space left. There's vintage things, and there's even one whole complete room dedicated to Mickey Mouse. I mean, yeah, it's just amazing. They have a room of vintage dentistry instruments, and there's a room with vintage photography, fishing reels. Like I said, it's absolutely amazing. And if you take your time and look at everything, it'll take you a while. This place is reasonably priced as well. So again, if you get the chance, opportunity, it's a definite stopping. So at this point, we stopped at a station, took a little break, had a drink, and tried to decide where our next destination was. Now, it was getting pretty late by this time, and what we found out was, because this was Saturday, a lot of places closed earlier. We thought about Revzilla. That was like 3 hours away. That wouldn't have worked for us. The other Harley shop we were going to go to was closing in an hour, and it would take us an hour to get there, so that obviously didn't work out. We even checked Grand Canyon, Pennsylvania. Again, that was like 3 hours from where we were. So none of that kind of panned out. We were an hour or so from the campground. So we decided to head back for dinner, and there's a funny story with that. Anyhow, friend and I decided to go over to the Susquehanna Smokehouse again. Now, Ed, Larry, Wilkie, and Booker T had heard that another campground up the road, not far at all, was having a rib dinner that you could get. And so they all jumped back on their bikes and rode up there. So when they got back, they filled us in on what apparently this rib dinner was not for outsiders. This rib dinner was for the people at the campground there. And they apparently had a run-in with security that was telling them that. And then there was some kind of argument over street glide is better or road glide is better. And so that, you know, you just can't go anywhere. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, it's hilarious. So I had the brisket again 2 nights in a row. Yes, that's how good it was. Those guys brought back their rib dinners that they weren't supposed to have, and so yeah, it was nice. These cabins have a overhang and a little picnic table just for yourself there. So we got to eat on our picnic tables. Rain wasn't coming down sideways like the night before. It was great to sit out there and chill out and have our dinner and talk and cut up, and people walk by and wave, say hello, and like I said, everybody's really nice up there. Throughout the whole trip, the bikes were great, ran great. The only thing that went on was Head had to tighten Booker T's handlebars. They got a little loose, and of course Head took care of that with his survival toolkit. So we relaxed another night, took it easy. The weather was beautiful. Now around 9 o'clock, Wilkie got a phone call. That's right, he got called into work. So he had to pack up all of his things and head out of there from the campground, head all the way back home. Probably a 3-hour ride. So we were down one man. Eventually we all turned in. Again, slept well. And Sunday morning, what a difference. I think it was in the 40s. Big difference. Everybody's pulling out their sweatshirts and everything like that for the morning, and I only had a long sleeve shirt and a Harley vest, and I figure, well, that's gonna have to do. That's all I have with me. We checked out. I think we left around 9:30, and it was still pretty chilly out, pretty brisk out, and we got out on the road and started making our way south again, mostly sticking to the country roads, and very, very beautiful. We had decided to head to Gettysburg. I believe it was 2-hour ride from where we were. So we just headed right for there, and we figured we could all split from there. And that's the video we're watching now, which is the Sunday, the journey home. So you can tell everybody at first is kind of bundled up. Definitely a lot more than on Friday or Saturday. So yeah, we decided to part our ways from Gettysburg, and where we went in Gettysburg was Battlefield Harley-Davidson, which is always a cool place to visit. They always have a lot of bikes, and it was pretty crowded. There was a lot of bikers there, and we got some food there. It was a great time. And so the time had come to part ways, and my friend went one direction from Battlefield Harley, and I followed Head, Larry, and Booker T for maybe a half hour, and then I parted ways heading more north, and they of course were heading south, and everybody got back safe. And again, just a great weekend, spending time with friends and riding and enjoying the bikes, and just it was great. Everybody had a great time, and everybody was safe, and we were blessed with incredible weather, lucked out from the 3 downpours, of course. Those of you watching my videos for music, don't worry, there's more to come. there'll be guitar reviews, and also I'm planning to do a song by Trans-Siberian Orchestra. So need some time for that, but that will be coming up. Also, for the rides, we have another ride coming up that is a long one. It's a 4-day ride, and we're going to North Carolina. So that I will try to get some footage of as well. So again, everyone, be safe, be well, and thank you very much.